Live.
It's live with the February. I said February. Son of a bitch, it's January.
Yeah, well, my wife was wondering why we were getting the notice a month ahead of time, but that's okay.
Details. Well, that's all right. I don't think I can edit the title after the fact either, so I'll just go with it. Not a big deal. Let's see here. Oh, yep, I see you just started the chat there, Jim, so just in case anyone else joins it. So, yeah, it's been a while since we've had a meetup, so I know there's a lot that we can end up talking about. I guess we can start with, like, what latest device that I'm using. I ended up getting a Nexus 6 as soon as they were available. It took me a couple of days to be able to get an order in because that order fiasco continues time after time to just be a fiasco. So once I placed the order, I got to thinking about the fact that I wasn't sure if I was going to be fond of having such a large device. I used to have the Note 2, and it was big, and once I had switched from the Note 2 to something else, I liked the smaller size, and I use my Chromebook so much that if I'm really wanting a lot of screen size, it's right there, and I'd rather just use it. So that said, I think it was like the next day from when I ordered the Nexus 6, I ordered a Moto X, a 2014 Moto X. Placed the order. Coming through someone's thinking about the fact that I wasn't sure if I was going to be fond of having such a large device. That's it. Okay. Let's see if that helps. I think I'm feeding back because, oops. Are you able to manually unmute if you need, Jim? I'm trying to see if I... Now I'm not hearing you. How do I unmute you? Oh, you unmuted.
You just click the microphone twice.
Okay. Well, I see you've got a headset on, so I think it was Jim that was feeding back, just because I myself, I don't have a headset in, and that's my fault. I should have had a headset. I usually do, but I totally forgot to bring it with the laptop. So, but I'll continue with my story. So then I ordered the Nexus 6. While awaiting it to arrive, I ordered the Moto X. And, no, let me back up. This is what happened. I ordered the Nexus 6, and I was waiting on it. Then it arrived. The day it arrived, and I had already been seeing people commenting about the fact it's like, wow, it's frickin' huge. No wonder they called it Orca, or was it Shamu? They named it after a whale, like something large. So are you still getting double voice from me, Jim? Hold on, Mark. I'm going to mute you just for a second and see if that... Okay, testing. Are you getting double voice from me now? Oh, I know why you are. I'll bet you it's because of this Hangout. All right, is that better? Is it still double voice? Hold on, let me just make sure. Yeah, I don't have this one on. Let me unmute. Unmute yourself for a second, Mark.
Okay.
All right, so you're fine, and I'm hearing you just once. Am I coming through multiple times for you right now?
Not at all. I haven't heard you do anything weird for a while.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to mute you again for just a moment, and then I'm going to... And Jim, go ahead and unmute yourself. Okay. There we go. Okay, Jim, so I can hear you now.
If you can hear me, hang on. I've lost everything.
Okay. What's a hangout without issues? It'd be boring.
All right, I must have had multiple instances going. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can hear you fine.
Okay.
Is that cleaner?
Right now it's okay.
Okay, good. All right. So now I'll pick up with my story now that I'm not echoing multiple times. I hope that's not echoing on the YouTube feed either. But so what I ended up doing is I ordered the Nexus 6, then I got it several weeks later, and true to everyone else's reports that been talking about it, you know, being nicknamed Shamu was the code word for the phone. It's like, yeah, this thing is one big device. And also it felt slippery, and I like carrying a device without having a huge case on it. And so I had the device probably a day or two and decided, you know what, I'm going to order the 2014 Moto X, and then by the time that it arrives, I will still be within the window of being able to return the Nexus 6 if I'm not happy with it. And I'll give it some time, be open-minded about it, and then when the Moto X arrives, be able to do a little comparison, and the loser gets sent back. So that's exactly what I did, ordered the Moto X, and once it arrived, and it got the update to Lollipop shortly after I got it, and I just made the determination, yes, so the Moto X ended up winning. Here's my device. I got the one with the leather back, and so I do carry it naked, and it just felt so much better in the hand. The screen was gorgeous on the Nexus 6, and I could have dealt with it. What I really wish is if the Nexus 6 had been able to have like the leather back, and I even did try getting a D-brand skin and put it on the back of the Nexus 6. I ordered it like the day that I got the device, and it arrived a couple days later, put it on, and it still was, because of the size of it, it just felt like I was going to lose that thing out of my hand at some point in time. I loved having that screen real estate. It was very, very nice, but once it was all came down to it, it was like, what do I primarily use my device for? And I was satisfied with the size of the screen on the Moto X versus the Nexus 6, sent it on back, and so I'm a happy Moto X user. I say happy, there's still some issues because there's definitely some quirks with Lollipop with Android 5.0 on the Moto X. I think some of the issues are just from the Google side, and then Moto was quick to push a build on out to be able to update for the Moto X, and so they're dealing with some of those Google-created issues, and then they themselves, I think, have some things to iron out as well. I don't know if just like showing here on the screen or not. Let me dim down my screen brightness so it'll be a little easier to see. That if I'm going to go to something like maybe just my calendar, my contacts or something, and then no, it's not going to happen then. But right now I have a couple widgets on my page, and this could happen just with icons, but you see there's one widget that is a Calendar Plus widget, so I just like being able to have that scrollable, oops, I moved my widgets around, the scrollable calendar that I can scroll on through and just be able to see stuff at a glance, what's going on. And many times I come back after being in an app and come back to the screen, and it'll say nothing to display, and then it takes a while for the widget to show on up. There's other times to where I might come back to the screen, and you can just tell a definite noticeable lag of the screen refreshing back to the home screen, and I've read that is definitely a known issue. I'm even experiencing some stuff with Pocket Casts, the podcast player I like using. which I use numerous times a day, every day. And recently I noticed I might be listening to a podcast, and then when I would go to do something else, if I was multitasking, I'm just listening to a Twit podcast or Android Central, or whatever it might be, and
You froze.
Yeah, he froze on me too.
Yeah,
I can see you just fine.
yeah. How's it going?
I'm doing fine. I guess he doesn't have enough bandwidth inside the peak 10.
I guess. You think he would? I mean, they got the pipe for it.
Yeah. What are you using for this right now?
I've got the internet service. I
No,
have
your
Insight
device.
15.
A what?
I mean, not Insight, but Time Warner 15 meg.
No, I was talking about what kind of device are you on?
A Chromebook.
Oh, you are? Okay. Which one do you have?
I have the original Samsung. The very first one.
Yeah, the ARM.
The ARM-based one, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's about the slowest one out there, and it just works fine, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
I've got an Acer C720.
Mm-hmm. I like my brother's 720.
I've been
Really
real
like it.
happy with it.
It's faster than this one is.
Oh yeah.
I'm thinking of getting a Samsung Chromebook 2. It's supposed to be really good.
Yeah, I'm spend some time on the Chromebook support site, and you'll start seeing some of the problems that different people are having.
Really?
There's some build quality issues, I think, with the Samsung. Just
Really?
like, I mean, the C720 had problems early in the game too.
I had some good reviews, and I've never had problems with this, except, I mean, it's an ARM processor and it's a little laggy sometimes.
Yeah.
It works great for Hangouts. Of course, it's optimized to do that.
If I was going to buy a new one right now, I would be going after the Acer's i3 version. They got a C720 with an i3 processor.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I'm less likely. The only reason why I have a new podcasting rig that's got honk and everything. I would be using that right now with a professional microphone and all that stuff, but I decided too late to start doing weird things, resizing my partitions and things. So it's doing that right now.
Hi, Matt.
hello again. I'm on my Chromebook now. My trusty laptop rebooted in the middle of me talking, and I was like, oh.
Windows?
Yeah.
That's why I don't use Windows generally.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
He said, "Wait, there's two Chromebooks out there. I'm gonna give up."
So I'm not going to continue on with that story. Bottom line is I've got the Moto X. It's still got some issues. But while we're on the topic of Chromebook, I do want to talk about that for a moment. I'll make a command decision that it's mobile related because a Chromebook is mobile. You can take it with you, so it counts.
It does count.
I have the first generation Samsung Chromebook, which, Mark, I know that you had before me, because you're the one that actually had it when I was playing with it. Then when I had an opportunity, I picked one up, and I've been very happy with it. Although it's showing its age and its lack of stellar power.
We were just talking about that.
So yeah, so then, Jim, I know that you're actively involved in some of those discussions that are in the Chromebook group, and without I know that there's always going to be new models of Chromebooks around. But what is your thought on something that is truly just... I do like the fact that this Samsung one is very small and light, so I'm not really concerned about huge screen size, but I definitely sense the lack of horsepower that the thing has. That's a frustration. So of that, ones that are out there right now, what are your thoughts on some of the ones that are more noteworthy?
We were just talking about that. I am overall very happy with my Acer C720. They have a newer version that has an i3 processor in it, and you know it's a bit more expensive, but I think it's a lot more future-proof.
And how's the battery life on that, I wonder?
What? Oh, it's just the same battery life, no problem. The issue to me is there's still apparently compatibility type things with the ARM processors. Like they're still trying to figure out how to allow the ARM Chromebooks to be able to upload music to Google Play. Right now, today, you can't do it. But if you have an Intel chip version, you know, Celeron or i3 or whatever, it works fine. I don't know if it's a power issue or if there's some other the guts of it that don't want to work. The Toshibas have gotten rave reviews for the bigger screens, but just like you're saying, Matt, I'm very happy with the 11-inch screen. I don't want anything bigger. We were at a dog show this past weekend, and I just carried my little Chromebook around, sat down in the bleachers, and did whatever I wanted to do. And it's just so simple to work with. It's lightweight. So some people need the big screen. If you're watching full-length movies, you want the high definition screen. So it's everybody has to pick the one they want.
And is it one of the ones with a solid-state drive? Because I know that some of them have been coming with spinning drive.
There's no. The only spin drive was some of the very early ones.
Okay.
The 710 model had a real hard drive, and nobody's doing that anymore. And I still don't see a reason to have more than 16 gig drive. 4 gig of RAM probably is a good idea if you're going to buy something today and you expect it to keep it for a few years. If you like to do a lot. But I don't tend to have a bunch of tabs open. I might have 4 or 5 or 6, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's about the max that I would have.
I mean, these people that have 35 tabs open, I don't get it.
They have a problem with focus.
Yeah, I mean, we get complaints. My machine got real slow. I was watching a movie and I had 2 Hangout sessions going, and I was playing a game at the same time. It's like, seriously,
Yeah.
There's I'm trying to find the link to it right now, a comparison site. Let's see if I can find the address. I'm going to paste this, get back to where it was. Let's see. Take a look at that comparison site. They have all the models and they have speed comparisons using the same benchmark on all the different models. So it is a good comparison. It's not just random tweaking. Kind of handy. And then Acer came out also with some ruggedized versions. I don't know if you saw that, but going after the education market, they're making them where they'll hold up under the kids a lot better.
Yeah, I can imagine the whoever were some of the key decision makers in the Los Angeles school district who purchased all those iPads.
Oh yeah.
Now for that, when somebody says, "Where's our ROI on this, folks?"
I saw a cute write-up. One of the school systems. You remember way back in the day, the AV club guys. You'd wheel around the cart with the projector on it and the movie projector.
Right
Well,
here.
now they got yeah, I know. The same kids are the Chromebook repair guys. They gave them training on how to replace broken screens, how to power wash, how to do the routine maintenance for the school. And instead of shipping these broken boxes back and forth to the supplier under warranty, they've worked out deals where they'll provide the parts. The kids in like 15 minutes can change out a screen, and they're going to come away. They're going to be the super power users.
Yes, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Well, cool. Thank you for that link. I'll have to check that out later. On a different note, I just want to show this since now we're back connected. And I don't know if you guys have had a chance to play with, but I got Google Cardboard.
Hey.
Cool.
And so it has been fun. My sister was here visiting a couple weeks ago, and she's not really techie, but she does have a Galaxy S4. So she, has a relatively recent phone, and when she was here, I got her all hooked up with the latest and greatest, made sure she had all the apps she needed to have on there, and then I proceeded to do a demo for her with Cardboard, and she was just blown away with it and said, will that work with my phone? And I said, it sure will. Check it out. And I slid her phone out, because then we installed the Cardboard app, and she had some demos and whatnot. And so she was so enthralled with it. While she was at the house, she ordered Cardboard, and it was at her house in Carolina by the time she got back. And the following weekend, she was just beside herself. She was showing her family and friends, and they're all doing little Google Card. It's so funny because my sister's not techie, and here she is. She's got like one of the latest and greatest. I won't say it's a hot thing, but as far as just to be able to showcase what can be done with these VR apps. One of the very cool things is to be able to go into. They put it into Maps. So when you're in Google Maps and you go to Street View, that when you have down in the lower part of the screen, there's an icon for you to tap and be in compass mode, and that's when you can just like literally move your phone around and see 360-degree panoramic kind of thing, because whatever way you're pointing your phone. Well, if you double tap on that icon, it immediately splits the screen and puts it into VR mode. So wherever there's Street View, you can use Cardboard and be standing there. So if you want to be like at Hollywood and Vine, or in downtown London or wherever, double tap on the Street View, and you're suddenly looking at it as if you're there. And for $15 for a set of Cardboard, there's cheaper ones too on Amazon, but I just say $15 because I got it from the unofficial cardboard.com. And so it's just the neatest thing to be able to just experience. And I understand, I haven't checked it out yet, but there are some videos that are on YouTube that play in the split screen for you to be able to enjoy with Cardboard as well, so that if you want to check out some particular videos. I will say, I can't remember the terminology for it, but the way that they're actually doing this with this very inexpensive type of setup is that those lenses are really messing with your eye as far as where your field of focus is, and that's what causes the headaches, is that for that screen to really be that close to your eyes, and yet then the lens is tricking your brain to make it seem like it's further on out. That apparently your brain is constantly trying to adjust to that. Some people are cool with it, other people get nauseous. I did notice that when I did, there's a roller coaster app, and I advise when I show people the roller coaster app, I'm like, sit down when you're doing this, because you will fall over backward when you're going through one of the loop-de-loops, because you start tipping, and next thing you know. But once I finished with the whole roller coaster and then took the Cardboard away from my face, I wasn't woozy, but it took a good 5 seconds before I felt like everything was back in focus for me to see what was around me. So I could feel that sensation of that you have been tricking your brain, but still very, very cool. Some of the demo apps, there's one that's called Chair in a Room, and you can start off in a dark room, and this is the control on cardboard. It's just a washer with a magnet. And so when you pull down on the washer, it would illuminate a flashlight in the room when you're looking around, and you see all sorts of stuff that's written on the walls, and it's almost like it's a detective kind of thing. And it just says something like, body in grave was not human remains, and then there's like an ashtray that's glowing on the corner of a desk, and when you turn the flashlight off, it's totally dark, but you see the ashtray, and the cigarette's glowing, and the smoke's going up, and all of a sudden you hear a noise, and you turn around, and something is moved over in a corner, so it's kind of creepy, scary, and it's just this developer is just like toying with this idea of making some sort of VR kind of where you're like a sleuth kind of scary whodunit kind of thing or whatever. And to imagine just being immersed, what would really be cool is you've got to be in a dark room so that you don't have any light bleeding on through, and that'd be all you're seeing. You've got a headset on, and you'd be totally immersed in that. But again, the one part that I think is tricky right now is for what duration could you really continue to be watching in that? Doing that roller coaster ride that's 2.5 minutes long, that's one thing, but I couldn't imagine something for an excessive period of time, not with this. I'm not sure how the Oculus is as far as how it handles it, if it's in a different manner, so that it doesn't mess with you as much, but it's still cool just to be able to explore it.
The original Oculus is horrible.
Right, I understood, yeah.
I'm pretty unralphable, and I barely contain myself. It was terrible.
Yeah, I've not had a chance to experience now. I know that some people have experienced the Samsung headset that works with the Galaxy Note 4. I'm not sure what other what other devices it works with, but I know it's a very limited number of just Samsung-only devices. Kind of a shame that Samsung takes that approach to where then whatever they're doing is so proprietary. But between that and then this new Microsoft Holo, you know, we're definitely...
That's going to be cool.
Yeah. It's going to be some cool stuff ahead. I remember, I think I was listening to the Audible book, I think it was Ready Player One was one of those books to where, you know, they were like living in the virtual world. So they like had Oculus type headsets on all the time because who they were dealing with was always just in a virtual. The premise of the story is a kid's like living in some slum, and yet there he is wearing his headset, visiting with other people that are wherever they're at, and they've all got point values above their head showing like where they rank and you know, all that kind of stuff. And it's also almost like your social status is determined even virtually. But be interesting to see as that continues to progress. But I'm just more intrigued by some of one of the cardboard demos was you're in Versailles and you go inside the palace and a girl's just taking you on a tour and you're looking around and you're in one room and you're looking at the king's bed and all sorts of stuff, and all of a sudden you're in another place and it's like you're standing right there. The only thing you don't get to do is physically move. You know that it's just one of those shots, just like the Google Street View, where it's got that camera with the lenses pointing in all the different directions and capturing that panoramic shot, or photosphere shot, should I say. But it's still just so cool. I look forward to more things like that, to where you could just virtually visit someplace like that, and it would be very similar like what Street View is that I was describing earlier. So
I'm going to correct you, Matt. Don't you mean Versailles?
That's always a sore spot with me.
That's all right. I live in Carmel, not Carmel.
But doesn't that, Raf, get some people riled up there because they say that it's Carmel?
Oh, yeah, you don't say Carmel here.
Yep. So, moving on to some other stuff. Remember, I think, Jim, are you using Inbox from Google?
Absolutely. That's 100%.
You are too, Mark?
Yes.
I very much enjoy using it. I am remiss right now that I'm about 20 emails away from Inbox Zero.
Oh, no.
I've been lazy at some of them. I really need to just take some action on them and move them out of the way. I love getting that little happy sun, hey, congratulations, you're at 0. But, I so prefer it over, there it is, yes.
I'm somewhere close. I don't know how close.
Yeah.
Either
There's still
or close.
There's still a few things that won't work. I got an invite to a phone call. Somebody sent it from a Microsoft environment, and it didn't even it wasn't even visible in inbox. I mean, I didn't even know he had sent it until I happened to open Gmail and saw it there. So there are some incompatibilities or inconsistencies with it.
I've noticed one thing that's a little annoying is that if I opened up, let's see here, like an email from my sister, and then, well, I've got my screen back too bright again. Hold on. Oops. So then her icon, first off, doesn't even show her face properly. It just has M for Marnie. But you can't tap on that to get contact info. They've kind of, inbox right now doesn't have some hooks to some things that you'd think logically should be there. Yeah. Pull up that contact for that person. Now, ironically, I do use inbox a lot. I don't think there's that many people really watching this hangout, so I'm not afraid to say this. Inbox.google.com works on my Humana computer. You cannot go to Gmail. But I can do inbox just fine. So that's great, because then through the day, I'm able to just manage my email and archive things, etc. accordingly, just right there when I've got Chrome open on my work laptop. But I noticed today my sister sent me that particular email I was just showing was her sending me a PDF of something, and on the work laptop, I open up the email, tap on it, and it says, having problems opening this attachment. You need to download it. Try to download it. Wouldn't even do that. I'm like, what in the world? I went back over to my phone, tapped on it. It opened up in Acrobat Reader, and I was looking at the PDF just fine. So that was, of course, computer related. They got some issues to work out there, but I've noticed that kind of thing. And I'm not sure if this has to do with inbox or really this is just Gmail in general issue, but my wife, of all people, ends up in spam. And it's been in particular when I get paid every 2 weeks, and then there's a certain amount of, quote, blow money that she says, okay, here, go ahead and transfer this, and I put it into my Multimat checking account, so I've just got as blow money. Otherwise, then she manages our bills and all that kind of stuff. So that's a typical routine, and she usually sends me an email reminder and say, go ahead, you can transfer the money. And several weeks back, it was like mid the next week, and I'm like, honey, I was supposed to transfer like on Friday. Shouldn't I have been able? And she's like, well, yeah, I sent you an email. I'm like, I didn't get it. So then all of a sudden I go to my spam folder, boom, there it is. I'm like, well, that's weird. You were in spam. So I mark it as not spam. The very following payday 2 weeks later, she goes, okay, I'm sending it. I'm watching for it. Nothing. I look in spam. There it is again. I marked it as not spam. This past Friday, it ended up in spam again 3 times in a row now. It's still spam regardless of me telling this is not spam. Removed from spam.
Now, is she using Gmail to do this or something else?
She's using Gmail, but what she ends up using is that when I migrated her over to Gmail, she still has a Denise at DeniseMattingly.com email address, and then we've got that set up so all that goes in, and then she's sending from Gmail, so it always just that says, on behalf of or whatever that terminology.
Right. Well,
and I wonder if that's what it is because that it's...
Yeah, it's probably something having to do with that.
But it's just like I keep marking it as not spam, so it's like, trust me, I'm okay with getting this. Stop putting it in spam, because now I'm paranoid and I check my spam folder quite routinely because I'm concerned that somebody else is possibly ending up in spam that shouldn't be. So I didn't notice that before when I was just in regular Gmail. I've noticed it more in inbox, and I don't know if there's a difference in the way that it's processing the rules on some of that stuff or not. But
no. it's probably a Gmail rule and not it's overriding your rules.
Yeah.
So something like that.
But I was looking to see what other noteworthy apps that I really dig the Circa app, Circa News. It basically is a nice aggregator of the top stories of the day, and I get a daily brief every day at noon. And it's nice too because then it even alerts my Android Wear, so it'll just say it's time for your news brief, as well as when there are just those breaking news. And I know there's a variety of sources you can get to elect from CNN or whatever. You could choose some sort of app and say, let me know and alert me with breaking news. But Circa, there's been recent things to where I think that I learned that Robin Williams had died from Circa, that all of a sudden, boom, I look down at my watch and it's like breaking news, Robin Williams found dead. You know, and other similar type breaking news type stories to where if it was something that was big. And I just like the way that it lays out. Again, why is my screen so bright? I thought I already turned it down. So here's just like my news brief. You know, so it's kind of not really Flipboard-like, but just scroll on through, and you can choose to follow the story, read the full story, so that if you want to follow it, then if there's any updates to that story, then Circa will just notify you of that. So like right now, at least 8 dead in attack in a hotel in Tripoli. So then if I choose to follow it, then any updates to that, then boom, I'm just going to get the notification of it. So honestly, I don't use that feature that much, but is a pretty cool, kind of out of the way. I go to it on occasion when I feel like just literally swiping through all of the latest news, but otherwise, that news brief at noon usually reminds me to just take a look, and then I'm catching up on stuff that I might not have otherwise heard from, because I don't really watch TV. I don't watch news on TV at all. Any news that I get, I'm getting from the computer or from my phone. So it's just nice to be able to have it served up that way. You guys use anything similar that's your news thing of choice?
Well, I've just been using the Google Now. Gives me some pretty good stuff. And
it's been getting good at really just kind of pointing out some articles that are from various sites that I might not have necessarily come upon. And I see a card, and again, yes, it's because that it knows what I'm looking at in Chrome or through my email or whatever. But
and then regularly I use Feedly. I take a look at that about once a week.
I usually use Newsreader. I mean, you know, Google's.
The old Google Reader?
No, Google Play Newsstand.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've got that's right down in my little icons. There's one of my news ones.
That's my usual one.
Now, and it's admittedly it's been a while since I have been into it because I'm just going into Circuit and I get what I need, but then now as I'm like looking through Newsstand, all of a sudden I realize I'm like, wow, there's a lot more that's really like laid out in this. Are you able to configure it for you to receive like alerts, or is it really just more of a you've got to on purpose go to it and check it out?
I don't get alerts from it. Alerts come in from Now. I just downloaded Circa. I'm gonna have to take a look at that.
And likewise, I am going to. It's so funny. I just saw a headline from Slate. The iPad is 5 years old today. You still don't need one. So you know, it is kind of it's very similar in the way that it's laid out as far as with the Play Newsstand. They definitely have improved upon that when it first existed, but
oh yeah, I'm still looking for something for my Chromebook. What do you use on the Chromebook, or do you?
Well, you know what I do some days on Chromebook, and I've got it saved, and this is really just nothing fancy, but if I'm working at my work computer, I really don't have time to do anything on the Chromebook. I've got up in my favorites toolbars Google Trends, and all it ends up doing, and I end up putting it on full screen, and it just shows a full screen view and just says something like, today it said weather. And so what it's doing is it's showing you the top searches that are trending on Google. So then it comes up and says Miss Universe 2015, and just different topics like that pop on up. And so if nothing else, then you can tap on that or click on that and drill down, and it's going to take you to Google News on those topics. But that, as far as the news thing, is really all I end up doing. Otherwise, on my Chromebook, largely, if I'm actively using it and I've got some time and I'm going on through, is I am going through Google+. I mean, I get so much of my news just from Google+, from the various things that I'm following, is that I have just ended up, that has been the first source of something where I end up, I still do have a Twitter account, and I'll scroll on through it. I follow, say, like our local news agencies. There was even one time where we looked down out from my window from Humana. I could see that there was traffic stopped up on the 2nd Street Bridge. Turns out that there was an accident and somebody had died. And I found it out just immediately by going to Twitter, and then there was like a WLKY Twitter post for it. And people were wondering what's going on, and I said, wow, someone just died on the bridge. And they're like, no kidding. And there's like, so that was handy. But otherwise, I don't find my Twitter feed nearly as useful as me just going through Google Plus and just scrolling on through and end up catching where someone has either posted themselves or they're sharing a post. I know, Mark, you share an awful lot of posts of different things to where you're sharing something you've happened upon, and I love that kind of interaction where you do see something from someone else that's in your circles who has now shared something, and that ends up being my news aggregator of sorts, albeit largely with a text slant, but hey, that's okay. That's what I'm into. So
same here.
Yeah, that's my tech part. I use Google News, the normal news.google.com page for routine news stuff, but it's just so ugly compared to everything else.
It is like Web 2.0. It's just,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What else is there that's been something exciting as of late? This is just a little sidebar thing. It's not really so much about the app, but the content on it is Crackle. I don't know if you... let me see if I can pull up the shows here. But since Crackle's just got free content...
the only thing I've watched that's any good is the Jerry
Seinfeld.
Jerry Seinfeld thing, yeah.
Yes, that was what I was going to say. Comedians in cars getting coffee.
Yeah, that's good.
You do like Jerry Seinfeld. The premise of it is that he basically spends probably it's a half-hour show, roughly, maybe even sometimes shorter, where he just ends up getting a hold of some other celebrity. Usually they're comedians. Sometimes they aren't necessarily a comedian, but well, actually, I do think both of them are comedians, so take that back. Yeah. And they're just from various things. Some of them might just be stand-up comedians. Some of them have had shows, whatever the case might be. And he's in a different kind of a car, and he picks them up, and they go and they get coffee. And so it's just there's a bunch of GoPros that are hooked up in the car, so they're driving along. The banter, some of them are just hilarious, and just you bust a gut laughing at how they carry on. Some of them are not so funny, but they end up going to some coffee shop or some place to eat and sit and talk, and it's a great show. And so there's not much else that I've really enjoyed watching on Crackle, but that one is definitely something that's a worthwhile thing to check out if you did like Seinfeld. Is a pretty hilarious, and I love that it is able to Chromecast easily. Love my Chromecast. I got an Amazon Fire TV stick a couple months back and hooked that on up to the TV as well. The main thing that I've used it for is just to do Netflix, which I can do with Chromecast as well, but I just wanted to try the stick. I think I got it for $20 because I'm a Prime member. So I figured, $20, I'll go ahead and give it a try. And admittedly, there's just not enough hours in the day and too much stuff to be doing, so that lately we were binge watching Breaking Bad. We're very close to the end of it, so if you guys have watched it, don't spoil it for me. We're on episode 5 of season 5, so we're very close to the end, and we started to slow down because my wife was like, I'm kind of sad, we're going to be done binge watching this, and then all of a sudden, what else are we going to watch? She said, oh, believe me, we'll find something.
There's lots of things to watch, yeah.
Good show, but point being is that because of that it's like I haven't explored too awful much else on the Fire TV stick, but I do like having the little remote that comes with it rather than have to, like when I am doing YouTube or Crackle or whatever case might be from my phone and Chromecasting. There's times to where Chromecast is far from perfect, and I might now I've left from that screen to maybe check email or do something else, and now I go on back and I've lost the ability to be able to pause, and it's just like, darn it, because your phone's just trying to do too many things at the same time. Whereas with the Fire TV stick, the nice thing about it is to be able to just have that remote. You want to pause for a second to go to the bathroom or get a drink, that's just that remote, and that's what that remote's doing. Pause it, continue on, and your phone is just doing whatever it's doing. So I can see benefit to that too. Although the nice thing about the Chromecast is how even my wife is able to do stuff so that if she's watching something on Netflix or whatever case might be, she's not really tech savvy, and yet she's got her iPhone 6, and boom, there she is, just casting from YouTube, doing whatever she might want to do, or from Netflix. So very cool in that regard.
Yeah, I just recently, well, I'm sitting in front of it working on it right now, and it's a media PC that I built with using open source software and things, and it's really cool. But I'll probably just erase everything on it after I'm finished, and I do use the internet, that sort of thing. I do the streaming thing. I did rip all my DVDs and things on there just for. I have a lot of time to spend right now. I don't know if you know my situation. I'm kind of stuck here taking care of my parents.
Yes,
so,
yeah.
So I have lots of time to play with projects and things, and it's pretty cool, but got a good sound system connected to it and everything. But I'll probably just go back to Netflix or something. Just I've already seen the DVDs that I've ripped, so what's the point?
Yeah. Yep. What is something else that?
Oh, Netflix just got a whole bunch of H2 programming. If you watch History Channel 2.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's got a whole bunch of stuff in that.
Excellent. I'll have to check that out.
Mm-hmm. Counting cars, and a motorcycle one, another car one, and some different things.
Excellent. It's funny, I know recently, because I like a lot of the shows that are on history, and I saw where someone made some little animated thing that just showed, it was like, this is history, this is not history, this is history, this is not history. It was making fun of a bunch of the shows that are on the History Channel, like saying, these are not really genuine history.
Yeah.
If this is going to be a History Channel, do some true history, but instead, they develop shows for the masses, and you try to make something too specialized, you get too niche,
Yeah.
and you don't end up getting the viewership you need to support the channel. So what do? You make something that's going to appeal to as many people as possible.
Tech TV.
Yep. So, another app. I think I might have talked about this one before because I know I talked about it with Android Wear, but it's just very handy, and I'm sure that you've even got up in the Indianapolis area as well, Jim, is Passport. And I just tapped on the little yellow icon there, and basically it's to be able to pay for a parking meter just through the app.
Yeah.
And even last night I went to an event that was down on Main Street, and I was only going to be there for a little bit, and then it was like 5:30, but still had to pay for the meter for half an hour. And yeah, I had some quarters in the car, but instead I already had the Passport app ready to go, typed in the number of the meter, and paid my money, and I was on my way. And then at 6 o'clock it reminded me that the meter was expiring, but I didn't have to worry about it because it's free parking after that. But there's been times to where I did park in a meter, and then I was in eating or whatever the case might be, and suddenly my watch was vibrating as well as the phone, and it's like, you've got 15 minutes left on the meter. And if you still had some time without maxing out, you could just continue to add it right there from the app, or you might need to get on out and move your ass so you don't get a ticket. But I love that. The coolest feature, more than just the fact that it's saving you from having to reach for some quarters in your car, I love that reminder thing to where you got that timer and can look and go, yeah, I've still got 45 minutes, I'm good. So
I never. I always only think of it when I'm stopping at a meter. So,
and
so I don't have it set up or anything. So.
Yeah, I've done that before too, to where all of a sudden I was like, the heck with it, I'm going in the car and get some coins. I forgot to set it up on this new phone, that kind of thing. But now I just have it ready to go. But it'll always figure that you end up pulling up to some meter that's not necessarily in the metro area, and then they don't have, it's like, sorry, get out some coins.
Mm-hmm.
But I always just keep a little baggie of coins in the car anyway, just in case.
I never have any coins, ever.
Have you guys used Push Bullet?
Never heard of it.
I know people that use it. I haven't. I put it on the machine and then took it off.
I've only skimmed the surface of it, and I probably would use it more if I could use it on my work computer. But as soon as I try to log in on the Push Bullet extension on Chrome on my work computer, then I get that blocked from Humana thing. So I can't take advantage of it where I would the most through the day of being at the computer. But I do like the fact that you're able to just you continue on doing something from one to it's almost like that handoff feature of iOS, and just allows you, if you're going to be on multiple devices, to be able to push stuff back and forth. So I can't really speak too much about it, but I know one thing that I do is, like, I have a feed that is from Android Central, and it's any time that there is an APK update, because they're always famous for having like the latest one was the Google Docs sheets and slides were updated. And so then they get a hold of the APK file before it's going to be pushed out to the Google Play Store. They make a notification of it, and Push Bullet ends up notifying me. So I know I could do a similar thing, like with if this then that. You could set up the same kind of things and say there's a feed from this particular thing. So that's the one thing I do the most. But I know that, like, also that there's just that material design to where if I tapped on new, I could do a new file, photo, link, or note, and be able to send, whatever that might be. And again, at work, where this would be handy, but I can't do it, is I often will be referencing something from my device that I might need to have the screenshot, and then what I end up doing is either shooting it to Drive real quick, I upload it to Drive, then from my work computer go to Drive and get it, or I opt to just do the share feature, share via inbox, and I email it to myself. Those are the two quickest options for me to get that screenshot really quick on over to the work computer, now take that, paste it off into an email or whatever I'm doing with it, and say, hey, take a look at this. Whereas with Push Bullet, if I could do that, and I've done this at home, is I could have had that screenshot and then immediately sent that file, and boom, it would have opened up on Push Bullet in the browser and just had it. But I can't log into the darn thing, so I can't do it.
Are you saying pull it?
Push Bullet, like bang
Push
with the
bullet.
Yep. So, and again, I'm not really using it a lot. When I look at the menu, I see that it's got the pushes, which that was really from that menu I was just describing, is that you can push a file, a photo, a link, or a note. But in the menu, it also has channels, and so that you can set up different channels to have things pushed to you. And I do notice that there's notifications, and I've customized some of them, but when something will happen on my phone, Push Bullet will notify, and I get the little toaster pop-up on my computer, so that there will be certain notifications that Push Bullet is now notifying. So it kind of reminds me of Glass or Android Wear, to where if you just had Push Bullet and your phone is sitting out of sight, it's on your desk, whatever, and you suddenly just had a notification, that notification is going to toaster pop up on your computer via Push Bullet, and you can acknowledge it right from there, to where you can snooze it, dismiss it, open it, whatever the case might be. So that part's cool, but again, I'm not seeing that on my work computer because I'm not signed in, so then I'm not able to enjoy that robust functionality through the day. I am fortunately able to, I've got Hangouts and the Hangouts extension, I got signed in on Chrome on my work computer. So throughout the day, like today, my sister was having some issues. She ended up sending me a text message. I'm working. That Hangout text message popped up right on my work computer. And then I'm able to answer that back. My phone's sitting right there in front of my face as well, but it's just sitting like in this little cradle, and I don't even have to reach for it. I'm just typing away on my computer working, and she pings me, and I'm like, ping, and I answer her right on back. She texts me again, and I'm just carrying on that text conversation with her via Hangouts right there on my work computer. I can't do a real Hangout on my computer because I'll end up, again, when I try to open a video window, just get that, you've been blocked. But at least the messaging part of Hangouts works, which I'm thankful for that, because that's that kind of stuff that's like seamless. It doesn't matter if I'm sitting there in front of my Chromebook, which is sitting in one place on my desk, or I'm there on my Humana laptop on another part of my desk. Both of them, that message from Hangouts comes up, and I'm able to interact, or do it from my phone. I get up from my desk and I'm walking off, and I'm, just everything was just seamless. And that's where we need to be with these. It doesn't matter what screen you're looking at. Let the experience let you be able to act on it, no matter where you're at.
Right.
Matt, did you know that they're getting ready to have Google Remote Desktop from Chromebook to Chromebook?
Now, do you mean like, is this enhanced? Because I've used it to where like I do remote desktop and connect with my Dell at home from my Chromebook.
You could not connect like your Chromebook to my Chromebook. Does not work.
Chromebook to Chromebook. Oh, yeah, because I was on a Windows computer running Chrome.
It's almost there. In fact, in version 40, there is a flag you can set to kind of try it or initiate part of it. I mean, it's like real soon now. It's going to be out.
And you know what I look forward to is, and even like when my sister was here, I set her up, and this again, we've talked about this a while back, is that TeamViewer quick support, because it's on a Samsung device, is still the only devices that allow TeamViewer. And I was hoping when that remote desktop for Chrome first came out, I was like, please let this also work on phones, to where you enable, because to be able to just help the mobile user, the friend, the relative who says, I'm having trouble, to be able to just say, tell you what, you're going to see a little thing on your screen here in a second, accept and let me take control, I'll walk you through it. Boy, they got to just do that. It's just, I'm dying for that to exist. It doesn't matter what phone it might be, and let it happen.
Now, the funny part on, here I am very active on the official Google support site for Chromebooks, right?
Right.
So we've been discussing what are we going to do for all kind of legal reasons. You really don't want to do this, as a public support person. It's fine one-on-one, friend to friend, or if you're being paid for it. But we're going to get users that are going to be begging, just let me show you what my problem is. And there's been a lot of discussion about how that's going to officially be handled.
Yes.
Because, boy, as soon as you screwed up something on somebody's computer, it's going to be bad.
Yep. So, any apps that you guys have that are kind of a favorite lately kind of app?
You talking about on phones or Chromebooks, or what are you talking about?
Either. I mean, I know we're mostly phone-centric, but it could be...
Still doing the weather thing. I don't tend to do a whole lot of unusual things on mine.
I've been using the heck out of... I mean, I still use Evernote a lot. I really do use Evernote a lot, but I've been enjoying using Google Keep, and I treat it like it is those Post-it notes, to where I might keep the data that's on there and possibly recycle it. An example of that is I've got a checklist for when I'm going to play a gig, and it is my packing list for what I need to pack into the vehicle to make sure I got everything, from guitar cords to batteries to music stands, the whole 9 yards, and I made each one of the things a little checkbox, and I like how when you check them, they immediately just go down to the bottom.
Yep.
And I see I've got 3 more things before I'm heading on out, and once I'm done with them all, they're all checked, but I go on back up to the menu and say uncheck all items, and there goes that note ready to recycle again, but it's kind of a reusable Post-it. And granted, I know I could do that same essential thing in Evernote, but it was just one that I used in Keep now, and I just keep on doing it. And it's the one place I'll go to where I want to just really jot down something really quick. It's not nearly as robust as Evernote is, and I still very much, especially like lately, Evernote's got a beta for the web where the interface is very clean, and you bring up a note and have it be full screen, and there's hardly a thing on the screen, and it's just really what you're typing, and otherwise the things expand as you go to use them and whatnot. But I'm very much digging Keep, and I think that Google's going to continue to expound upon it nicely.
I don't use a tenth of its capabilities. You know that you can take a picture and it'll convert it to PDF in Keep?
That sounds familiar, but I've not done it.
I've not done it, but it's one of the capabilities. You take a picture of an instruction sheet or a label or something, and there's some kind of conversion there that'll make it, kind of like Evernote did. The recognition, I think it does text recognition. One thing on the check boxes for the list, I want to be able to alphabetize. We use our grocery list. Wife and I share it, and like I say, I'm going back, okay, I've got celery in there somewhere. Where the heck is it, right?
Yeah.
And that seems like a natural to me, is to be able to somehow reorder alphabetically.
Yes. Yeah.
What I'd like to do is, it probably might do it. I don't know where the aisles, which aisle things are in. So.
I dream of having when you make your shopping list, that just the store. I would love it if Kroger made an app that is. I mean, they've got a shopping list in their app, but made it to where you go into that store, and then all the items are going to sort in the direction in which you're going.
That'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
Hey guys, you've seen my little avatar, which was my old Rockwell AIM 65 computer.
Yeah.
I wrote an app. We're talking many, 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 many moons ago for exactly that. I walked through Kroger and wrote down the order of everything in the store by not every can of whatever, but here's vegetables, here's fruits, here's bread, and it would walk you. You'd run it, and it would tell you the section so that you put together your shopping list, and then it printed it all out in order that you were going to walk through the store. And that was a simple little app that I got a lot of strange looks from people when I was writing down, going through the store, documenting the stores. That does seem like a natural, though.
I've got an app that I use that really is another one of these ones where I'm only barely scratching the surface of, but it's called Out of Milk. And I like how I can add items from the list, so then those are like in history. And so then I'm there in the kitchen as I'm going on through. You're looking in the cupboards and the fridge, and you might forget something, but instead for me to just go A to Z through that list and go add, add, add. Yep. And then I've got the categories, and I did have to shuffle them around because the store about a year ago had gone through a remodel, so then they rearranged where certain things were. But I've got it in some semblance of order to where as soon as I do add eggs, I've got that under dairy, and that category is further on down, because that's near the end of the store, etc. So then, but there's so many other features to Out of Milk that I don't even begin using. But it's because I've at least got that sort, like you say, and some of that feature. They've even got that thing where you can turn on for particular stores, and I had it for a bit where like I'd get near Walgreens, and all of a sudden it would come up and say, here's all of the coupons for Walgreens. And, but after a while it's a little annoying. It's like, I've noticed that lately with Google Wallet as well, is that it will notify me because I've got my loyalty cards in Google Wallet. and I'll pass by Panera Bread, and all of a sudden I get a Google Wallet notification saying you're near Panera Bread. But the cool thing is I'll open up Wallet for a second, is I like this functionality. If I go to my loyalty cards, and then where's Panera, that notification will come up, and it'll say like this. It'll be like, I'll get my screen, and there's the QR code ready, the barcode ready to be scanned, so that it's just ready for you to rock. That is providing what I like to coin that term, a mobile moment. There you were, and if you were near Panera, and all of a sudden you're like, you know what, I think I will stop in and get a sandwich, and then the card's already just handy. I've played around. Speaking of Keep, I look forward to Android Wear having more functionality. It's still not get everything I would expect. When I am using the watch, I'm like, gosh, I wish it would do this. I wish it would do that. I've got my Qdoba card in Keep, and I formatted it as such that that's exactly the size that it'll show up, that square, on my Android Wear. And Qdoba is one of the few places right now that has the updated barcode scanner that can scan your screen. Because speaking of that Panera one, that wouldn't do me any good at Panera. Their barcode scanner will not scan a screen. So the only reason it comes in handy is I can hand the person my phone for them to hand key in my member number, but they're not going to go scanning the code. But at Qdoba, I love having that little barcode I just showed for Qdoba on my watch, and I go on up to the thing, and they're like, "Where's your card?" And all of a sudden I go, "Boop," and they're like, "What'd you just do?"
Yeah.
So that's just a fun thing. And this is a funny, is that I went to a Louisville Digital Association event with Denise back in December, and I had the QR code for my ticket from Eventbrite ready to go, had it on my Wear, thinking, I'm going to walk on into that event, they're going to be ready to scan the QR code to check you on in, and I'll be like, hold on, let me do it with my Android Wear. It was two girls standing at a table with a tablet of paper and a pencil. I was like, come on, it's the Louisville Digital Association, and you've got people here with a piece of paper and a pencil? So that was funny.
But what you were talking about, when you get by Panera or whatever, there's a Google app, what is it, for like exploring wherever you are. I can't think of the name of it.
Field Trip?
Field Trip. I had that going for a while, and it just aggravated the
Drives you nuts.
I could not, I don't really care that I just passed the McDonald's or whatever, it's like, no, that went away. That got deleted.
Yeah, well, I have it on my device, but then I have it in manual to where I am going to turn it on and say, we are right here right now, show me some stuff that is nearby. I've
gone into the simplification mode. I can do just about everything I want like that with Google Maps. I can explore my surroundings with maps. The new filtering they've put on it, where I want Mexican restaurants or whatever. It's and I've kind of gotten rid of a whole lot of extra apps.
Yeah, and I tell you, it's something that even I'm dealing with at Humana with our apps is that people might want to know when it comes to their healthcare. And yet there's a fine line of managing what will be pushed to the member if they elect for push notifications, and having that balance of not driving them nuts so that they finally say, you know what, I'm turning this feature off. Because what constitutes, granted, it's still up to them to choose which notifications they're going to get, but there have been apps that I personally have turned on notifications for, and then after a bit, either A, turned off the notifications, or B, it turned me off so much I uninstalled the app. And like, didn't you say you uninstalled Field Trip? You didn't just turn off the notifications. You're just like, I'm done with it. Gone. So that it is a fine line to have to balance, because there are times, everybody wants to push information to you, but for goodness sakes, it was just like this morning, my sister was having issues to where, I think I've talked about MobiScope before, the camera software setup. I've had it for years. Well, my sister has it, and she ended up opting for where it's like the MobiScope web, so she can watch her dogs at home from her work computer, and it costs like $100 a year. Well, then recently they just rebilled her for another $100, but she had gotten a new debit card, and she's confused as to how they could have done this charge on her account when her debit card changed. So I'm still waiting for her to tell me what she found out. I think that they were possibly able to still just do the charge on the old card. I don't know.
I'll tell you how that works. If you put a card in Keep, or not Keep, like Google Play or Wallet or anywhere, even though you've canceled that card or they've issued a new one, they can still bill against it.
That's what I figured was the case, and that she can't even remember her password. I just educated her about LastPass and said, Marnie, you've got to keep track of your passwords. But bottom line is she's upset thinking MobiScope did something wrong at this point in time, whereas technically they didn't do anything wrong per se other than, hey, they rebuild. It was time to rebuild.
They rebuilt.
And they rebuilt.
I just sent you another link. You might, the google.com privacy white paper.
Okay.
We just came across that. I saw it posted somewhere. It tells you all about how Google uses the information, all the different ways that the information's used, cookies to how now works and everything. It is an incredibly good white paper.
I'll check it out.
It's Google itself putting it out. It's not some third-party thing, But when you get somebody worried about, they're watching what I'm doing, yeah, well, there it is, and it tells you specifically if you check this, if you allow this, then here's what's being gathered. If you don't want it, uncheck this. So it's a pretty good cookbook.
Cool. I know, because my sister really is kind of a tinfoil hat type of mindset, and so, but my point of that story is that this morning I get to work, and it was going to be a busy day. I'm sitting down on my computer. I'm just opening up some emails and whatnot, and my phone was blowing up. And like I said earlier, so were my Chromebook and my work computer with pop-ups coming up, and my sister's texting me one text after another, and then suddenly an email, and then all of a sudden my wife was texting me on totally separate thing. But it's just like, oh my gosh, just the inundation of the notifications for a moment. It was like, I need to step away from my desk for a moment. I was like, this is too much. And so that goes back to that, the push notifications, and that you suddenly have push notifications happening from Google Wallet, happening from Panera Bread, happening from your Wendy's app, happening from this thing, your text message and email. And finally, that's where people are just like you said earlier, I'm simplifying. Screw all this.
Yep.
Turning it off.
Yeah, I mean, when it's an emergency, notify me about something, but don't send me a push notification, hey, check on our website and we'll tell you all about the new whatever, no.
Yeah, that's where it does get, it's a fine line, because there are certain things, again, when I'm dealing with in like a healthcare related app, then someone might say, I do want to get a push notification when the status of my claim has changed, or whatever the case might be. So then they're electing for that, and they want those.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that not just with what I'm doing, but other companies, that there are people from that marketing perspective who think, oh, this is going to be great. We'll push them this, and we'll remind them of this, and they're not being cognizant of the fact of, like, think of all of everyone else who's thinking of doing that too, and this person's getting pummeled, and they're going to finally shut you all off.
Yep.
And then you're going to be back to just and to think of some other way to be able to communicate to them, because you're going to have lost that vehicle to reach them, because they will have just said, I'm done.
Yeah, I won't play the social marketing game at all. I refuse to get on Facebook, period. I have Twitter following the National Weather Service and about one or two other people. That's it. That's just,
Yeah.
it's too much.
Yeah, I mean we're gonna start to reach a point where people are gonna have fatigue. They're showing signs of fatigue from just um, too much going on because we do need to disconnect. And as techie as I am and connected as I am, that there's also times to where it's just like, off with it all.
Yep.
And
Well,
I could just simply just reach up and just hit my power button on glass, and my glass is on, but I'm not getting annoyed. Don't have to have stuff coming up all the time. But
I just don't want to get irrelevant things. You know what I'm talking about? Just things that would, diaper commercials, and I don't have any children. Just things that I would never be interested in. Just give me advertisements to things I want.
it's right. I'm fine with being transparent with my information with Google, and I know that it is a leap of trust to do that, but I feel like, and you were talking about this earlier, Mark, of like the Google Now cards, that suddenly you look at some of the news things that might be served up, and I do find that they are relevant to searches I have done, things I've read, sites I've gone to, emails I've received, whatever the case might be. Great, then it's right there in line with that.
But Matt, isn't that spooky? Isn't that spooky though?
There's times to where it's just like, ooh, wow, that's really weird. Like I also participate in the Google Opinion Survey. I've got that app, and so then I end up getting, nominal little 30, 40, 50 cents, sometimes $1 for every time you do a survey in the app, and it'll pop up and say a new survey is here. Mm-hmm. And lately, some of the surveys have been, when was the last time that you were at Target? In the past 1 day, 2 days, week, month, can't remember, whatever, that kind of thing. And the thing is, I got that like yesterday, and I was at Target on Saturday. Mm-hmm. And it's like, whoa, trippy. Suddenly this opinion survey is asking me about a place that I was at. Sometimes that survey has come through and said, when's the last time you've been to, and it named some sort of place, and I was nearby it, but it geographically knew where I was.
Right.
So while I wasn't at the place, it just wanted to know. And then it says, like, how did you get there? Walk, ride, drive a car, whatever the case might be. So it was just getting a little bit more information. But there's times like that to where you just give you a little pause, like, yeah, just a reminder.
But if that bug you, uninstall that.
Right. And, it's kind of like the MyTracks, which I haven't played with the app in a while, but I have done it. Whereas, do I have this one that's the mowing? I always like pulling up this one, is Mowing the World, and I'll pull up the map of me mowing the world at my mother-in-law's house. And that is MyTracks tracking me. It's some weird shape, but you basically see along the front of the road. Oops, I just dropped my phone. So that part there is the front of the road, and then that's the driveway, and then that's the bulk of her yard around her house. And that was probably about 3 hours worth of mowing. And I just picture Google having maps similar to this of my traffic habits of living in Old Louisville and driving down the road 2.5 miles to Humana, 2.5 miles back to home, a mile down the road over to Kroger, back on over to home, down to dog school on Wednesdays, back on up to home. I mean, it's just like such a repeatable on Saturdays going on over to New Albany for yoga, and then the occasional spike that would be to some oddball place. But that repetitive kind of stuff, and it's just like, I'm okay with that. But yeah, predictable, very much so. And so then at least if they're going to serve me up stuff, then great. Don't be offering me something that's not in that path you just see that I repeatedly take. Mm-hmm. Right. Offer me stuff that's around there.
Have you looked at have you brought up your Google Maps history?
When you get that report.
But I mean, you can pull up, like where you were yesterday, and it shows your path and everywhere you went. I mean, it's in Google Maps for you.
Mm.
Let me find it real quick.
I've been there. I haven't done it in a long time.
I know that you get that, like, what is that called? That it's not privacy report, but it's just like your. Every once in a while, you get an email and it'll just say, "Here is your information from Google," and you end up going to that. It just shows like your profile and shows how many emails you've received and how many contacts you have, and
It's that control panel thing.
yeah.
Whatever that's called.
I'm trying to find it. It's a location history, and you can actually play where you drove on the map.
I'm going to try it. I'm going to pull it up on the my other computer over here. So do you do it from your profile, or you go to where, Jim?
Fine. Okay, here you go. All right, how do I get here? All right, maps.google.com/location history.
Or Google Location History Dashboard. Yeah, maps.google.com/location/history. Oh,
Mine
I'm
is
sorry,
just /location history, all
Yeah.
one word.
I tried something different. Is hello, Wes. I went to just to maps, and then there's a gear that shows up down at the bottom, and if you click on it, it says history. So I'm at the same place. So I see the hourly search history. So yeah, so this is that same place. It's just under the maps section, I guess.
And then there's a timeline at the bottom. You know, you can drag your cursor along it, and I can see where I went to the grocery store. But that freaks out a lot of people.
Let's see here. Now I might be. Yep. So wait a minute. These are my searches.
Yeah, not the searches.
All right. Let me try that address you just told me about. So maps.google.com.
Google.com/location history.
Is that stored in your Google file, or is that stored on their server?
It's out in the cloud.
Okay.
Yep. So it's so funny. It's exactly what I just described. Like I see because I go to work up to 65, but I come home back down surface streets. So you just see that kind of loop.
Yep, and you see do you have a calendar showing on the left-hand side?
Yeah.
Click on a day, and it goes back way, way, way far.
Yep. So there I am to where, and it's kind of interesting. Some of it is a little wonky, to where like I went from home over to New Albany, and I stopped at a couple of places. I went to yoga, and then I also went to Home Depot, which is one place is off of Grant Line Road, the other one's off of State Street, and yet on this map it shows like from Grant Line Road, like as the crow flies all the way back down to my house.
Yeah, it's just timestamp every so many seconds or minutes. It's just a series of dots, and then it connects it.
Yeah, so then it make it seem as if like that I flew straight back home from there, but it's still very cool. I mean, you see the waypoints of the trip, and it totally is representative of that. Yeah, that is, and I look at that, and I'm not even infinitesimally bothered by it, because I don't do anything wrong. I'm not afraid of so like if somebody was having an affair, if somebody was, whatever the case might be, they'd have reason to be concerned, and they better make sure they like turn their phone off. That kind of thing, if they're so concerned about that, because otherwise it's not just Google, but even the cell phone towers, etc., would know where they're at. And so I look at it, and I am nothing but fascinated. This is cool.
What's the website?
Okay, again, in your browser, type in maps.google.com/location history, all one word.
Let's see here.
And of course, they're not sharing that data.
It doesn't show me for.
Now I'm on a desktop machine or on a Chromebook.
I'm on a desktop machine.
Phone.
I'm not sure if it's going to show on your phone.
I'm working on it on my phone right now. Let's see.
Wait a minute, I'm logged in as somebody else here. Hang on here.
Ah.
Well, that matters.
Oh no, that wasn't me. No, I didn't go there. No,
it's like, oh, wait a minute.
No, wait a minute. No, that wasn't. No.
I wasn't there. I didn't do it. The one thing that's interesting is to see if I'd like to choose a different range, Jim, and it looks like there's a drop down to choose between 1 to 30 days.
Yeah.
But I'd like to choose. It'd be interesting to choose 60 days, 90 days, whatever. But it doesn't look like that you can. I mean, you can jump around because it shows back to December 26th, and it'd be interesting if I chose the 25th. It'd have me going all the way out to Evansville. But I can't.
We were in Tennessee this weekend, and so I can see my whole trip for the weekend.
Very cool. Yeah, so
that was
it's working on my phone. So as long as you're signed in, you should get it on your phone.
Cool. Yep.
Matt, I was with Matt yesterday. What? Say I was.
Yeah, we were. We went over to Home Depot. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I told you that wasn't. Man, that's a wild map of what I've been doing.
Yep, I just pulled up the 25th, and that's when we drove out to Evansville for a family Christmas thing, and so that's very cool. Again, I look at it, and it's like where I see on the map is just so interesting to end up taking a look and see what area that you repeatedly on your routine, if you just have, quote, a normal routine, repeat life versus, if somebody was doing something, say, it'd be interesting, like for a UPS driver or something, to see like what area they might cover, or a truck driver, for them to just be all over a region. It would just really, if they were looking at 30 days of data, it'd just be one big red blob. But
for the tin hat people, this is frightening information. This would send somebody into cardiac arrest if they didn't know that was there.
Kib Kuggers would have a heart attack.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm not sure how much that carriers are logging and maintaining this as much as Google does, because Google has a motive behind it. But I'll bet you in some way, shape, or form, be it from the cell tower information, etc., that carriers have something similar, so that if someone wants to go blaming Google or even any other service for it, that it's like just like the same thing with your home ISP has more information on like where you've gone to, even if you're surfing incognito or whatever the case might be. They've got that info, and
if you don't want somebody to know what you're doing, you shouldn't be doing it. That's what it comes down to.
Turn it off. That's what I think.
You know something, Matt? I forgot to, when I click on these dots, on last Wednesday, or last Thursday, I'm sorry. Or was it Wednesday? Let's see. Yeah, last Wednesday, I forgot what time I clocked out at work. and this shows me exactly when I left the area.
Very cool.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, if I
Where is
Again, for the people that are concerned, you can erase it, just like your browsing history. You
I
can
did
erase it.
see, yep, to where I clicked on one of the dots and it did say delete from history.
You
Mhm.
could also turn history off as well.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you have full control if you know to look for it.
where can you turn it off at?
I think you just have to go like to your settings, and there will be all of the different
Oh,
various
okay.
things. Like do you want for, and the more that you're going to turn off, then the less Google's going to be able to have to offer you in contextual information that it's able to serve up in that Google Now type of fashion. But
Wes, did you
Yeah.
see the link that I posted for the privacy web paper from Google?
No, I didn't. I heard you talking about it. I've been online for about 35, 40 minutes listening to you guys, and I couldn't get on.
Okay.
should be in the if you have the just the
Chat.
note to where we were chatting, he posted it in there.
But
Oh,
that
okay. All right, I'll look and find.
Google explains in detail how all this stuff works. The location history, the browsing history, everything.
Yeah, and on Android anyway, it's settings, location, location services, Google location reporting, and then location reporting. You could just turn that off, and you could also turn off location history.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay. Thanks.
Welcome.
Yep. And yet I look at that and I just think it's cool. It's kind of like the same thing, which I often wondered about this when I'm not doing glass demos, but just a fraction of the time now because for the most part people are familiar with it and it's not like got that appeal to where someone's like, oh, what does it do? Every once in a while I get someone like that. But during when I first got them in June of 2013, easily for a good year, that there were so many times to where, like, if I was demoing to somebody and let them try on glass and tell them, well, go ahead and just say, okay, glass, Google, whatever, and they would just be saying whatever, and I was thinking, this is all going into my Google search history because it's me they're doing it as. And as I look right now, when I was on the wrong page there earlier, to where it's just the history.google.com, and I see, searched for, and I just see all of these things from my
You know,
search.
this would be most beneficial to,
What's that?
the guys that are always, for celebrities, they're always jailbreaking their phone.
Yeah.
Can you know how much they could follow a celebrity around without them ever knowing it?
Yeah.
That's dangerous. That's real dangerous.
I see, like when I'm looking at my search history, and I see this a lot with Google Now, to where it'll just say, do you want to remember the time to such and such place? It could be that just my wife and I wanted to go someplace to eat, and I'm like, hold on, and, I know generally where it was anyway, but I just go ahead and use Google Maps to navigate to it because I'll be navigating using Glass or my Android Wear. And yet the next day, all of a sudden Google Now is asking, saying, do you want to remember travel time to such and such? As soon as you've done it in a search, by gosh, Google wants to know if you want a reminder about that particular thing. So some of those probably be worth it for me to end up removing from my search history if they got annoying. Although it's really just say, no, I don't want to be reminded about it, and it won't ask you again. But
That's
what's that, Wes?
I'm just looking at some of the stuff that I've done over the past. Of course, it wasn't me, you know, it was my brother. But I'm just looking at some of the stuff, and I told my wife, never mind. Yeah, she doesn't need to know that.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, what's nice for me, I can see exactly when exactly get out on the highway because I have to come in off of off the Waterson on the west end, and I can see between stop and stop how long I have to wait every day for traffic before I can cross the bridge. That's interesting.
Yep.
And I'm just looking at different days are worse, and the times. Oh man, I can pinpoint what time I need to leave work now to make it across. Ever.
I'm looking at some of the other. Hold on. Whew, I've got every device known to man going off right now because my mother-in-law is trying to call me. Here we go. It's still ringing. Stop it already. Oh, Lordy.
I'm not going to be able to last much longer. I'm on my last leg of my battery.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, we're going to wrap up. But I just wanted to say one of the things when I was just looking at some of the other, like just the search history type of history, there's a category for visual search. And I'm not used it that much, but I see that I searched for a stage lighting light bar that I took a picture of on April 28th. And then I searched for some Cabot wood tone deck and siding. I took a picture of a can of that. You know, these were visual searches that I had done on Google, and it's got a little thumbnail of the picture of what I had submitted when I did a Google search using an image search. So very trippy. Again, it's not like I was that I'm ashamed of anything I searched for. Although, like I say, sometimes some of my search stuff might be funny from the year plus of people doing weird searches and whatnot with glass, but
Hey,
still.
I was looking at on the Google search here. On the left-hand side of the screen, it says show timestamps. It looks like they take a timestamp every 2 minutes. They take a hit 2 minutes. It's out at 12 to 1 a.m., then 1 a.m. to 2 a.m., then 2 a.m. to 3 a.m., and so on. Every 2 minutes it takes a hit. And if you click on that time of that hit, it tells you exactly where you were.
Sorry, can you guys hear all that ringing?
Yes.
She keeps on dialing and dialing. I know exactly what she wants. Is she wants me to set up a wake-up call, and I use a website called Wake Up Land because she can't set an alarm clock to save her life. So I use a website called Wake Up Land, and it will actually ring her home phone and then call her, and then I select a different kind of character. It could be a drill sergeant, it could be barnyard animals, or whatever. She does catering, and she has to get up at ungodly hours, so she might be calling to leave me a message to say, will you tell those people to wake me up at 4 o'clock?
Tell those people.
Yeah, she's got no computer. She's definitely. I say that my wife is not computer savvy. She is literate. She's just not savvy. She's not techie like I am, but she can hang. My mother-in-law is calling me again. Oh my gosh! I tell you, with that, guys, I'm gonna decline on all of my machines here, so I hopefully stopped it, and then be able to return her call. I'll let you go. It was great.
All right, Matt.
Guys.
Enjoyed it, guys.
Take
And
it easy.
we'll talk to you next month. See ya.
Bye.